As Avi said, second time in Tel Aviv. And I love it to be here. Thanks a lot for having me. So, okay, I'm going to go a bit deeper on this scientific topic of people. And I just repeat a little bit for those who haven't been at the conference today. My name is Robert Stulle, and that translates directly to Bob Sandwich, more or less. We shape brands at Edenspiekermann. I forgot to mention that, creative director, partner and co-owner at a design agency and brand consultancy called Edenspiekermann. We shape brands digital by default. And we are about 120 people working in different offices across the world. And what combines us is what unites us is one promise. The promise that we connect people and brands to create better business. So what are we connecting? People. And people, they are the worst. I can tell you. I think it's from Seinfeld. I love this show. And people are really something we all have to deal with on a daily basis. So let me show you. This is one of the favorite rooms that we have in our office in Berlin. We call it the Tower. It's a really nice, beautiful, high-up conference room with windows on 3 sides. And sometimes if I'm preparing a workshop in the morning, I can sit there and I'm all alone, no people. And then I start to work and I start my working day, enjoying the sun. I open Slack, I open my calendar, my mail, I start working. And what do? I just deal with people. It's all of the time. Why do I open the Slack? I have to talk to people. Why do I have to open my calendar, schedule stuff with people? Mail, it's all about people. And I don't know how your normal workday looks. So maybe you're a developer, maybe you're an UX person and you work with design tools. But who are you working for? It's people. It's your colleagues, your managers, your clients, the end users, the target groups. It's all people. So it looks like only a small percentage of your work is really about your work, like design work, for example. And the rest of it really is dealing with people. So after maybe I had this morning session to my own and enjoyed it, I go into the first workshop and what do you see? Lots of people at the table. Later I'm in a different room, same building, people. Then I go to a client side and you guess what? There's just people there all of the time. I go home, tiring day. Next morning I come to the office. It's a Thursday morning where we all have breakfast together. Guess what? Like people. And all of that comes to you from the outside world and is sort of this pesky element. When you have all your systems in place, the thing that is always the disturbance are the people. The clients, the users, the colleagues, the partners, the target audiences, the decision makers, stakeholders, peers. And how are they? I mean, they're stupid. They don't get it. They're lazy. They are self-indulgent. They're ignorant. It's like the worst. And we have this policy in our company. I said it today. We just have this idea: don't work for assholes, which keeps us out of a lot of terrible situations. But then again, if you are philosophical about it, what exactly is the definition of an asshole? And that is surprisingly different for different people. But when you are in this state of aggravation and you feel like you're surrounded an idiot, then it will dawn on you, like I said before, that all people really are shit. But that, of course, is for the other person looking at you exactly the same case. They think that you are shit. And like this example, if you're riding a bike through the city and then the car, the person in the car is really bad. And if you are riding the car, then the person on the bicycle is really an ignorant bicycle user. And pedestrians, it's the same. So I really think it is what we need here, what helps to deal with this terrible situation that we have to deal with people, like I'm dealing with people here, is to have a change of perspective. Because everyone is acting according to his own mindset, and everyone has their own reality and they act according to it. So if you come maybe from a mindset or from an environment, your boss, your colleagues, your work, that is more into securities and guarantees, then it will be difficult to deal with someone who wants to explore and learn. There will always be this tension. Like maybe you are the person who wants to be very early at the airport, and you have this colleague who makes it a sport to almost miss the flight every single time. You will not get along. So I think what helps a lot is to have this change of perspective. There's a time to be closed and stable and confined. I mean, a lot of things should be like this. And there's also a time where you need to be open and flexible and free. And if you try to understand where the other person is coming from, what they are thinking, in what environment they are actually, they are, maybe they have a terrible deadline, maybe you have a terrible situation at home, or maybe they just think that it's very professional to be unfriendly. If you try to understand this, that makes life much easier. So there's 3 more tips that I have. What's very useful is to not be judgmental. Don't judge. I think there is no right or wrong, even though we have these ideas that come from our families, our parents, our colleagues, our beliefs, where we have grown up. All of these imply these ideas of this is right, this is wrong. If you do this, then you're on the good way. If you do that, then you're weak or you're stupid. And we have all these beliefs in our minds, and I think the more we leave them behind, the better it is. Especially in a professional environment where it's about competition and being strong and being professional. I read this article that I really loved. It has been out for quite some time. Your life is Tetris. Stop playing it like chess. Because in chess there's black and white. You win or you lose. And you have to checkmate the opponent. It's this game where you have to, if you make a wrong move, then the other opponent wins. And this black and white mentality makes it very difficult to deal with people. It's much easier to approach life like a game of Tetris. There is like all sorts of events in all sorts of colors and shapes coming your way, and you try to make something out of it and make order into that. And for good measure, I have put in this image. The third tip is try to understand people's needs. If you want to read a good book, read this book. It's really good. It's about non-violent communication. I like the subtitle, when you're busy judging people, you have no time to love them. And the author of this book says, he's also doing couple counseling. And he says, I can resolve any deep year-long conflict within 20 minutes after the point that each party understands what the other side needs. And I think that's very true. And if you apply this on our profession, we have those user stories like, for example, as a student, I want to have an easy overview of my homework for tomorrow. That sounds very plausible. But as a student, you don't want to have any homework at all. You would love to have something completely different. You would love to have something else that helps you through the day. This is just our assumption. If we really go into what people really need or what students really need, you would be much closer to that. Like this idea of the job to be done, people don't need a power drill, they need a hole in the wall. And that's very true, I think, because people don't buy products, they get them because there's a job that they need, that they need to be done. So for example, if you have a dog and you buy such a stick that allows you to throw a ball, you know these sticks? You don't buy the stick is an ugly, crappy piece of plastic shit. What you buy is the ability to play with your dog. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? And this job to be done mentality really is helpful in your day-to-day life and work. And then there's this phenomenon that people only think about themselves, but that is actually really good. Because if you understand that people only think about themselves, it's much easier to design stuff for them or to understand them, because you get into their needs and then you are very close to the truth. And that is relaxing, and then it's more fun to work with people. And finally, last tip is dogs. You know, dogs are a bit like people. They are messy, they're smelly, they're unpredictable, they sniff in inappropriate places. So we have a strict policy at the office, no dogs. No, we wish we could say the same about people, but no dogs. And then there's a freelancer and he brings his dog to work, you know. And then there's this cute little dog sitting there. And then another person brings this old lady, half-blind little dog. And you know what happens if these dogs come to the office? Well, let's look at this dog, look at the eyes. This so tiny little dog. Look, the owner of this dog even has a hat for the dog that matches his own hat. What happens when a dog is at the office? Everyone goes, people totally lose their professional self, and they talk to the dog like they talk to a baby, and they're all happy about it, and they're moved, they're emotional. You get to see your boss doing like like you have never seen him before. And I think that is great, because when you communicate with dogs, that's not on a rational level, that's only on an emotional level. And I think all of the interactions between people and people and people and dogs and dogs and dogs is only 20% rational and 80% emotional. And if we tap into the blue part, the 80% emotional more, then it's easier. So finally, people, they are the worst. I think we can agree to that, because they are the source of all aggravation in your daily lives. But also, we have to somehow see that people can be quite awesome. So I think it is our job as designers to build bridges, to make connections, to understand people, truly get into the mind of the others, change our perspectives so we are less aggravated by them. So do you have drinks in your hands? Here's to people. And don't forget, you are one of them. Thank you.